Hey everyone, Luca here again with the newly branded Luca and Alfaro Real Estate Group at Remax Service First Realty. And we're here in Fort Henry, my old stomping grounds, and actually Ben's old stomping grounds too. I have the privilege and appreciate the time that I have the newest guard, well, our guard captain for this year, Micheal Valiquette, and the events coordinator with St. Lawrence Parks Commission, Alex McLean, who was a former guard member as well. Former captain too,
Former
Alex?
captain.
Former captain as well. So we've got present and past captain and just the lowly squad sergeant that I used to be. So, although Ben said he was an ensign at one point in time. I guess this is a bit of serendipity timing because the World Health Organization announced that the pandemic is no longer a thing officially. And most of my podcasts started during the pandemic and mostly with Zoom calls. So we're here in person, but maybe take us back. How did the fort manage during the pandemic?
So I was actually there. I was hired as to be the drum major in 2020. So the moment the pandemic happened, we went through all our interviews in the early February, January times. We got hired and then boom, pandemic happened. So what happened then was a lot of wondering what's gonna happen for the season. So eventually, once people started figuring out how the pandemic's working, how the government wanted things to run, we came here and did a bit of station point work. So just along the parade square, you couldn't actually even go inside the tour route for a little bit, so you couldn't actually give guided tours. Wow. There would just be guards stationed throughout, usually who was supposed to be the seniors and a couple people who were supposed to be Lance Corporals. We're just scattered throughout so we could answer questions, teach people as much as possible, but it's largely very stuck in our literally just boxes made out of rope so no one could get close to you. It was an interesting time, that's for sure.
Were you still a guard then?
I was, well actually back then I was the curator and the program support officer, so kind of worked with the team here to basically make Fort Henry available and open as best as we could during the pandemic. It meant altered programming, and a big thing that we couldn't do was special events.
Right.
Like usually, we have our world famous sunset ceremonies where we'd have about 70 Fort Henry Guard kind of performing and marching and performing for about 1,500 people or so, and we couldn't do any of that for I think it was 2 years, 2020 and 2021, and then we brought them back just last year in 2022.
The other bit of timing is that, well, you reminded me before we started recording that it's the 85th year of the Guard, and so there's an 85th reunion happening this August, which I think I have to attend. I think I've been asked by a couple of ex-Guard mates if I was going to take part, so I'll have to do that. But yeah, so take us back. I mean, I've probably forgotten more than I'll ever remember about my guided tour, so give us just a quick snippet of the history of the Guard then.
Started in 1938 under the vision of Ronald L. Way, and he really created the concept of a living history museum, where instead of going in and kind of reading text panels and looking at artifacts of kind of what life was like back then, it was actually recreating it to be a full kind of reenactment scene of 1867 Fort Henry. So that included hiring and training interpreters to kind of reenact the life of people living here at the fort. So that started in 1938, and it's changed throughout the years, but it looks fairly similar to what it has always been over those last 85 years, where we have Fort Henry Guard, wearing the uniform of British soldiers of 1867, and they perform kind of drill reenactments here on the parade square, and then also give guided tours of the site with various different programs and special events that evolve through kind of the needs of the public and kind of modern
and so I have to say that I think I was a Guard in the heyday of the Guard, and the only reason I say that,
everyone says that.
Everyone
says their year is the best year.
So my argument stems from the fact that the government was throwing bags of money at us. We had 2 show groups. A student would make upwards close to $10,000 a summer depending on overtime. I was able to go to 2 tours of the USMC to go to Washington, and call shows at Iwo Jima, which was pretty cool. So what's the complement now, Micheal, of the Guard?
So the Guard is a little bit smaller this year than even in the last year. So we have about a little under 60. So we still have the drums, we still have the squad, and we still have the domestics. In the drums, we have about 20 people. Squad is about the same, and that's about it for this year. We're hopefully gonna get more. I know there's some words along the way that we might be thinking about hiring cadets, so bringing back the cadet group, so hiring high schoolers so that they can come back in the next year. but that's to be announced there.
So is the reduction based on just finances, or is it just a lack of recruitment? Or
lack of recruitment, unfortunately.
Really?
We didn't get a lot of
Interesting.
applications this year.
Interesting. Because this used to be, well, I mean, I think we all agree, it used to be a sought after position here
Absolutely,
for a summer job. I mean, apart from the surge wall.
So my guess is because of COVID. So there was 2 full years no one knew was added to the Guard at all. And I think a lot of the recruitment that comes from the Guard is from other Guard being like, hey, this is a fantastic job. Come here. It'll be something you'll never get to see again. There's no comparison to this type of work that we do here. But not having that for 2 years and then trying to bring in new people has just been a bit of a struggle.
Wow.
So I think as we get back into the swing of things, we bring back sunsets, more and more people will start coming back is my expectation.
I know when we did sunsets, I think it was 3 shows a week. Now it's one main show a week for the sunset ceremonies?
Yes.
And what night is that?
Just Wednesday night.
Wednesday night? Okay. And the full complement, obviously, drums and then the Armstrong guns with the cadet crew and everything. So now this year you're saying there's no cadet crew? So
There hasn't been cadet crews in any time I've actually been here,
wow.
no.
Okay.
So the drums learn the field 6-pounder, those are tarped over there, and the squad learn the 24-pounders on the wall.
Wow. Great.
As of right now, the Guard are still learning how to walk in a straight line. They are in, as you can see behind you, very questionable states of dress. So we're still getting things up in the swing of things. They just started their first day of rookie phase today, actually. So this is their first day for a lot of them here at Fort Henry.
Well, they're walking straight-ish.
Yeah.
It's almost a line.
Well,
Maybe a
Alex,
haircut or
Alex,
two.
I still see you trying to figure
I
out if
know.
you should stand at
So how do I
attention or not with
stand?
your arms or your
Yeah.
hands. So
It's just instinct, yeah.
it's just,
You're on the parade square and the muscle memory, I can't be standing like this.
Exactly.
It feels together. I do that all the time.
Exactly.
It's fun.
Debating if you can yell at them when we're not in uniform.
Yeah, the one big site that is open with the St. Lawrence Parks Commission is Upper Canada Village. Opening weekend was just this past weekend. So they actually were open and they actually had free admission.
Wow.
It was kind of part of a grant from the Ontario government, and so they did kind of big celebrations.
great. Good, good. Now, it's hard not to notice some construction happening right across the square from us. Alex, tell us a little bit about what's happening there.
Yeah, so the government is investing in keeping Fort Henry upright, keeping it restored. And a huge fortification like this needs constant work because we used to say, or I used to say, the enemy of the fort was the Americans. That's why it was designed, that's why who it was defending from. Today, the enemy is water and ice because it gets into the cracks, right? And then things start to go. So right now in there, all winter, they've been working inside. It's kind of covered like that for heat for when they're doing their work. And they're kind of repointing all the mortar. So replacing the blocks that need replacing and kind of keeping that glue inside the mortar. And that's kind of one area they're working on. You can hear it from here, all working on their tools and things. And then they'll actually be doing the entire balcony level and also on the other side.
Wow.
So keeping it restored. I think there's it's like a 3 to 5 year plan to kind of work on the areas that need it right now.
Well, and I'd have to think that being a UNESCO World Heritage Site now helps in that cause in terms of fundraising and the government being able to allocate dollars to, because I mean, it is an impressive structure. I mean, no question about it. Michael, we chatted briefly. You've been here since 2017.
Yes.
This is your 2nd year as Guard Captain. Yep. What are some of your takeaways, I guess, for your time? And how long do you expect to be in the Guard? So you said you were going to school for another 5 years.
Yes. So unfortunately, this will be my last year. I'm doing a Doctor of Pharmacy program out in Newfoundland. So for the next foreseeable future of the next 4 years, I'll be stuck working in pharmacies every summer. So I won't have the ability to stay here. So this will be my last summer for sure, unfortunately. So my entire goal is just keep getting everything running so that there's enough people who can teach the next generation as much as possible. Because even this year we have seniors who are only done a year in the fort previously. Because there was 2 whole years of no training at all, no new hires. So it's starting things pretty much from scratch in the last year, which went out unreasonably well, I think last year went. It went to plan, which means it was surprising.
That's good. Well, that's good. And yeah, and I think that bears mentioning, if those that we've alluded to it, but these are all students working a summer job. I remember even when I gave my tour and I was standing sentry or walking up in the advanced battery and the tourists would ask, well, are you paid? Are you professionals? And we're not aligned, affiliated with any professional military organization or anything like that. They're just students doing a summer job. And I always found it just incredible, the amount of hard work and effort and the training that went into it. And it's a credit to the lineage that our Ronald Way started, and then just that everything just passes on year after year. And it's unfortunate that COVID screwed a lot of things up, including the fort. Yeah, well, that's fantastic. One of the reasons we're here, self-promotion, is I'm the title sponsor again, which is great for Fort Henry Beer Fest, which is happening
June 10th.
June 10th. Thank you for, yes, awesome. So, you know, last year was the first time since COVID that they had it outside again. It was massively attended. I think they ran out of food in every food truck within the first hour, but the bands were well received. The frig, it was just like ants crawling all over the advanced battery and everything. It was awesome. So yeah, if you can attend, it's well worth coming to. The food is fantastic, the bands are fantastic, the venue is fantastic. And for those that want to have a really special experience at Beer Fest, they're having what's called a hopped up ticket version. This is essentially a VIP ticket that gets those, limited number, right, Alex? So 150. So those 150 people, if you pay your money, then you will be treated to indoor washrooms, which is awesome, as opposed to the porta potties. So that's always a bonus and well worth the price of admission. And some other venue benefits throughout the event. I guess we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your time, gentlemen, and best of luck this season. So
Perfect. Thank you.